So I've just gotten home from the convention. It was really, really busy. I'm pretty wiped out. In the artist alley especially, we were kind of walking like shoulder to shoulder. So yeah, I'm pretty tired now, but I wanted to go through some of the items that I got today. So I'll start off with this bag here from Wixcraft Candles. I really love their items. So I went and I bought myself a mystery box. So I'm going to open that up now and see what's in there. So I got the medium size mystery box, which was $30, I believe. It's just a really great idea to have something like this. With some candle care, and just opening the box already, it smells really good. There's a little heartbeat lolly in here, which is a nice touch, and honestly I could use a bit of sugar after today. So in here we've got a wax melt in the scent Autumn Spirit. I do have a candle in this, but not the wax melt, so that worked out really well. And then there's also a candle in here. This is in the scent Eternal Rest. I don't think I've smelt this one. It's got clove, sandalwood, and amber. Actually, 3 scents I really liked. And this color is really beautiful. I love how some of her candles have a little bit of color in them. This smells really good. And then she also gave me some extra tea lights in the scent Mortician Assistant, which has marshmallow, smoke, vanilla, and oak, because I've nearly used up my other candles in the scent Witching Hour in my cathedral candle holder. So this will be very nice to replace them with. Now I'm going to open up this bag, which has just a lot of little random things that I bought. I actually can't even remember all of the things I bought. It was just so busy that when I saw something, I just kind of grabbed it. A lot of stickers and whatnot in here. And there's a lot of thank you cards as well from just stores that I passed by. I'll start with these though. Obviously, I had to get these amazing Ghost Papa stickers. These are really beautiful. We've got Papa V and Copia as well. Very cool. Just started journaling, so I'm going to be putting all the stickers that I bought today in those journals. And then I've got another bunch of stickers here from one store. The store is called Pigeon Princess. I've seen this artist at other conventions. That's their card there. So I ended up getting 4 stickers today. Got this one, another Knight sticker, the Amphora, a Gothic arch window as well. So again, these will be going in my journal. Then I've got a vampire sticker sheet. This is the name of this artist. I don't think I got their card because I was in a bit of a rush and it was a little bit hectic. I really like all of these. They're very me. And I also got a really cool washi tape also. Just really liked these, and I think they're going to look really cute in my journal. And then the last item I bought, as soon as I saw it, I had to get it because Helsing is my favorite anime ever. I've talked about it before, and it's really hard to find anything Helsing related these days. I mean, there are a lot of people who love it, but I think because it is so old and it's completed, it's pretty hard to find anything. So I got this print, which has Alucard. This is actually one of my favorite illustrations of him. And then I've got Anderson as well. I didn't even realize there were 2 together until I was buying it because I like Anderson, but obviously I just wanted Alucard really badly. But I'm really excited to find some frames to put these up on my wall. I've already put the next item on my bag, but I got this very cool Gojo keyring. He is from Jujutsu Kaisen, if you are not familiar with him. This obviously just matches my other keychains that I've got in the red and black theme. So that is my little haul from today. Honestly, there were other things that I was interested in buying, but again, because it was just so packed, just couldn't really get into some of the stores to buy them, but it's probably a good thing anyway. Hello, welcome to another book chat. I have been quite sick in the past 2 weeks. I'm still a little congested now. You may be able to hear it. So I'm going to get right into the books that I've been reading lately because there is quite a few. So I've shown this book, Dante's Divine Comedy Part 1 Hell, in quite a few videos because I have been reading it pretty slowly, and I am happy to announce that I have now finished it. I did take quite a few breaks. I mean, obviously this isn't the easiest read in the world. It was written during the 14th century, and it's a narrative on the social conditions of that time. But quite a lot of this is still relevant today, which makes it such an important classic. The last few cantos were the ones that I found the most striking, with the descriptions of the deepest inner circles of hell, as well as Dis, or Satan himself. I also really liked the juxtaposition of how, even though hell is generally associated with fire and the upper levels do have elements of heat, the very inner circles were frozen and cold. I thought that was a really interesting and a very cool comparison. I don't think this is something that comes from the Bible, because Dorothy Sayers, the translator of this edition that I've read, mentions in the notes here that this is probably something of Dante's own conception with the eternal frozen cold. She also notes, which I found really interesting, that in the 17th century, witches who claimed to have dealings with Satan sometimes reported that he was ice cold. So that is a very interesting coincidence for sure. And I do feel like this is the kind of story that you can just study forever and ever. And I've really only scratched the surface here with reading it for the first time. And one of these little concepts that I've mentioned, there are so many in this book, just reading the notes that Dorothy put in here as she's translated it, which is really, really fascinating. And the thing with Dante is that he also mentions so many different figures in this too. You can really just go down the rabbit hole on finding out who these people are and why they're mentioned. There's everybody from Achilles, various other ancient Greek figures like Helen and Paris who were in hell, all the way to Cleopatra and various other poets. And speaking on that, the idea alone that Virgil is the one who leads Dante through hell, and what the meaning is behind that as somebody that he completely idolized, makes me kind of wonder if this was me, who would be my guide going through hell, purgatory, and paradise. Probably an author for sure as well. So I guess Dante and I are alike in that sense. I really loved reading this. It did feel like quite an accomplishment to get through it because, as I mentioned, it's not super easy to read. So I would like to dive into Purgatory soon. I generally don't give classics a rating. Just personally, I find that I don't like to do that. But I guess if I had to, this would definitely be a 5-star for me. I am working backwards in books that I have read. So I just finished Dante's Hell, and then before that I finished The Gilda Stories by Jill Gomez, another book that I've shown in maybe 2 or 3 videos. This did take me a while to get into, as I mentioned before, but as predicted, once I did get into it, I really ended up enjoying it. This book follows the vampire Gilda from the 1800s right to the future in 2050, I think it ended, and she's sharing her experiences over the ages and the people, including other vampires that she meets along the way. I really loved Gilda as a character. She's a black queer vampire who escaped slavery in Louisiana as a young girl, and she's really badass. There is, of course, a focus on issues of queerness, sexism, and racism, and that's tied in with vampire lore. I really liked the vampire lore in this a lot, which I'd mentioned before is really important to me when I'm diving into a new vampire book. The violence in this was quite minimal, as Gilda only takes precisely what she needs needs from a victim. And the rule in this is that she always gives something back. And this is usually a cognitive gift, a subtle manipulation of dreams, or feelings that benefit the person that she's feeding from. And this was really unique because I don't think I've ever encountered an ethical vampire before. There is like Louis from the Vampire Chronicles for a bit, who struggles when he's first turned. And then of course Twilight, there I suppose we could say they are ethical too, but not one that still chooses to feed off humans but give them something back at the same time, and only really taking what she needs. So I really liked that aspect of this book. Overall, I really enjoyed this, and I think it's a really powerful book, so I rated it 4 out of 5. So before I finished the Gilda stories, I read Gothic Town by Emily Carpenter. This is a book I've mentioned before. I had just started in my last video. It's about a chef who moves her family from New York to a small town in the South after they are tempted by a post-COVID deal where they buy this beautiful house for $1, and she plans on opening a new restaurant there. This book starts off straight away with the dark history of the town in detail. Although I liked this story and I found it interesting, it made the rest of the book quite predictable, and it didn't leave much to the imagination in some ways. So I think this could have been done better if it had been revealed gradually throughout the book, instead of having everything up front and not really leaving anything to the imagination. However, there were a few little plot twists along the way that did really shock me, so that was good. The main character, Billy, was okay, but a little cringy to me at times. But overall, I do think this book is really readable. It's ideal as a quick read in between books, which is what I've kind of done here. And I believe it is being made into a series soon, and I think it will adapt very well because it does have that dark Southern Gothic vibe. So I hope whoever's making it really leans into that aspect. I just expected a little more, but overall I rated this book 3.5 out of 5. So prior to reading that, I decided to read The Knight and the Moth by Rachel Gillig. Hope I'm saying that right. This author is quite famous for One Dark Window, which I'm going to talk about in just a minute, but I have been seeing this book everywhere, and if you're on BookTok, Bookstagram, you've probably been seeing it a lot as well. It had been very hyped up pre-release, which always makes me a bit hesitant, but I went into this with high hopes regardless. My first impression was that the writing style was gripping, and this kept me engaged for nearly all of the book. I also loved the dialogue and the vernacular, and I thought it was very well suited to the medieval setting. I really loved the gargoyles and also the protagonist, who is a diviner. I thought she was very witty and smart, but she also had some real flaws as well. The entire concept of the diviners, which I'm not going to go too much into, and the omens, etc., was very unique to me, not being much of a fantasy reader, and it seemed really well thought out, and it was interwoven well into the plot. The only things I didn't like about this book were moments in the last few chapters where it seemed a little bit rushed. I also don't care for romances, and while there is a bit in this, it definitely isn't the main focus, but those parts were my least favorite. I also don't understand why this is pegged as a Gothic romantasy. Yes, romantasy for sure, but Gothic, no, I really didn't think so at all. But I do think this is an enjoyable read. Again, very unique and different. So overall, I gave this a 3.5 out of 5. Moving on to One Dark Window by the same author, I then decided to pick up this. This is terrible of me, but I've had this arc since 2022, so it's been on my shelf for years. I did try to read it when I received it back a few years ago, and I couldn't get into it. I thought I'd give it another try now because I really enjoyed her writing in The Knight and the Moth. I did read quite a few chapters, as you can see. Not super far in, but 92 pages. So, but unfortunately, I have left this one for now as it did not finish. I may come back to it in the future because I thought I'd actually like this more than The Knight and the Moth. In comparison, this feels a lot darker and like it may actually have some Gothic elements in there. I'm struggling with the story. I've been told it does get better, and I know there is another book as well, and I don't really like to force myself to read books if I don't like them. I may switch to the audiobook for a bit though. I think that might help me get through it, but just kind of leaving this on the shelf for now. So prior to this, I read The Starving Saints by Caitlin Starling, which is our Patreon book club read for this month. Getting into it, I was really excited. and the beautiful prose and the setting of the story really hooked me in pretty quickly. This is about a medieval castle that has been under siege for months, and inside food is dwindling to the point of starvation. Just that idea alone was so fascinating to me. It's set from the perspective of 3 characters, and just the way the tension builds up through the story is done really well. This is definitely a fever dream kind of book, and you can get lost in that, as I experienced quite a few times. Some things are not super clear and quite vague, and that really leaves the reader to their own conclusions, I guess. I'm definitely someone though who wants to know everything, and as we've discussed in our book club, this is definitely something which, if you are like me, you will really need to let go of to fully enjoy this book. But overcoming this, my only other issues with this book were again to do with the marketing terms, and I guess I really need to stop looking at these because it mentioned a bacchanalia, and I guess there's an element of hysteria for sure, but I don't think I would call it that. I will also say it had an ending that dragged on with a bit of a slow wrap up. So overall, even though I really did like this, I gave it a 4 out of 5. Speaking of fever dreams, I don't even know in where I read this in the last 2 weeks, so I'm just going to pop it at the end. The book that I'm talking about is Abraham's Boys by Joe Hill. So I had no idea that Stephen King has kids and that his son wrote this book. This week, the trailer was released for the movie adaptation of this, and it looks so good, and when I discovered it's based on a short story, I wanted to read it immediately. So this is about Abraham Van Helsing and his life after Dracula when he decides to move to the US with his 2 sons. I think Joe really took notes from his dad because it evoked the same kind of dread and suspense that I've really loved reading some of Stephen King's books. I really enjoyed this. My only wish is that I wish it was longer. There's also another Dracula movie coming out this year. The trailer for that has also just been released, and it's called Dracula: A Love Tale. Honestly, it looks pretty, but it kind of seems like the exact same plot of the 1992 film, which you may know is one of my favorites, and I'm actually wearing my jumper today from La Femme Noire. I mean, I'll go see it, of course, but my expectations for that one are low. Whereas for this one, it's a little different. It's something new. I'm very excited to go see the movie of this. And so, of course, I'm going to rate this short story 5 stars. I would really like to read some more of Joe Hill's work soon because I've heard really good things about him. Quickly wrapping up with what I'm now reading, I'm still doing my annual reread of Donna Tartt's Secret History, one of my favorite books in the world, and this is the first time I'm annotating it, so this is how far I've gotten. I'm really enjoying this process because, as I mentioned in my last video, I've started my annotating journey, but I found that it only works for me at the moment with books that I've read before. So I did show in this video already kind of the things that I am focusing on, but I'll just show it again here quickly. So it's been kind of fun following this and then just writing my own little notes. I think it will be fun when I come back again next year and see all these little things that I've written and maybe add some more. So I'm going to focus on this a bit more now that I've read so many new books lately, and then hopefully come back to you with a completed annotated version in the next video. And the last book that I'm going to mention now that I am reading is Lord of Mysteries, also seen it being referred to as Lord of the Mysteries. This is a web novel that was written by the author Cuttlefish That Loves Diving, very cool name, and this came to my attention last week because it is being made into an anime which looks incredible. A lot of people have been talking about the frame rate and the quality, but just the aesthetic alone looks stunning. Though it's quite long, I think there's like 15 volumes, and it is being released into a translated English book next month, I believe, or August, so not that far away. This is about a character named Zhao, I hope I'm saying that right, who wakes to find himself transmigrated into the body of this character named Klein Moretti, who lives in the Victorian era. The thing that really convinced me to read this, also apart from that amazing trailer for the anime, was that it's been described as a dark fantasy steampunk horror. Some people have said it's got Lovecraftian elements. I can't really speak on that yet, but I saw a comment on Reddit where somebody said it reminded them of Bloodborne, and that just immediately convinced me to get it on my Kindle because that has become one of my favorite games. I would say this does definitely have some kind of Bloodborne vibe. The translation I'm reading is like a little bit goofy though. There's a lot of exclamation marks used, which really irritates me, but the story so far is really, really interesting. And these kind of steampunky Victorian horror elements all mixed together are really cool. I don't know how it's going to take me to get through all 15 volumes, but I want to finish the first one very soon. And then of course watch the anime when that comes out, I think later this year. So that pretty much wraps up my book chat. If you've made it through these 7 or 8 books I've talked about, thank you. Thank you for watching this video. And thank you to my Patreon supporters as well, of course. Hopefully I didn't sound too gross and sick in this, but I will see you in the next video. Bye.